He said it was a boys' trip. Instead, I found out he was getting married. For most of our marriage, I let James believe I was ordinary. I dressed simply. I worked remotely. I didn't flaunt money or connections. To him, I was just the quiet American wife who handled the house, laughed at his jokes, and stayed out of the way. And he liked it that way, liked to think he had all the power, all the options. What he didn't know was that I had chosen that life for a reason. Years ago, I cut ties with my family's empire, a global luxury hospitality group, because I wanted something real. I didn't want to marry for power or politics. I wanted to be loved for who I was, not what I came from. James seemed to love me for me, and I didn't want him to feel small or inferior by comparison. So I kept that world locked away. James came from old European money, the kind that wears arrogance like a family crest. His mother never tried to hide her distaste for me. "At least she's pretty," she once whispered to him at our wedding, not knowing I was fluent in French. James would brush off the condescension with a wink or a pat on my hand, but it was always clear. To his family, I was decoration, not legacy. When James told me he was going on a boys' trip to Italy, I didn't think much of it. But then I noticed strange charges on our shared credit card. A jewelry store in Florence, a boutique hotel in Sicily, a catering deposit. He was always careful about finances, so it stood out. Then came the accidental text, "Make sure the dress is steamed by Friday." It wasn't for me. I quickly looked deeper into his finances and found that he had paid for a venue, flowers, orchestra, and of course, a damn wedding dress. I couldn't believe it. Instead of confronting him, I played it cool. Told him I hoped he had fun with the guys. Kissed him goodbye at the airport. And then I did what he never expected. I followed after him. I booked a ticket to Sicily, alone. I made a few calls. I still had contacts because of my family, who owned multiple hotels and venues all over Europe, and got a suite in the same villa he had booked as a venue. I arrived the morning of the wedding and checked in using a fake name. No one batted an eye. The ceremony was small, intimate. His family, some of hers. Nothing huge, but enough to make it sting. I slipped into the back row just as the music started. He stood at the altar, beaming at her like she was his future, like I never existed. I waited until the officiant asked if anyone objected. I stood up and said, "I do." Heads turned. James blinked like he'd seen a ghost. I said loudly, "I'm his wife. Legally for over 6 years. This is a second wedding. The first one is still very much binding." Gasps. The officiant froze. The bride's expression didn't change much. She pouted, visibly annoyed, and turned to James. "Are you serious right now? Is this a joke? Can you get her out of here?" James looked like a man watching his life fall through his fingers. He walked toward me, eyes darting around like he could still spin it. "I can make this go away," he muttered under his breath. "I'll wire you $500,000 after I marry her. She's loaded. Just get on a plane, sign the divorce papers quietly, and this never happened." I laughed and said, "You think this is about money?" I turned to the guests. "This man invited you here to celebrate his love, but he built it on a lie. He never ended his first marriage. He just figured I didn't matter." His fiancée crossed her arms, rolled her eyes. "Whatever. It's not like we need a priest to be married." I looked at her. "You'll fit right in with his family." I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I left with my dignity intact. But in the quiet of my room that night, I stared at the ceiling, feeling something heavy settle in my chest. I didn't want any of this. I had given up everything to build something real, and it was never real to him. The fallout came fast. My legal team filed for divorce and fraud. Soon after my family found out about what had happened. They didn't say, "I told you so." They just quietly invited me to come back home with them for a bit. Soon after, somehow he lost his job on the board of his family's trust. Turns out his family's trust is owned by one of my dad's companies. Once the scandal went public, his fiancée didn't stick around long after the money froze. He tried to marry for status, lied for power, and lost everything to the woman he thought had neither.